Well, hello, all of you cool people out there. Welcome back to the A24 archive. I should have like the Wheel of Fortune voice yelling that at this point. But this is the series on my channel where I go back through A24's entire catalog from start to finish. And I believe this was the 40th film in their catalog that I've watched. I know 40 films since I started doing this thing. You're like, what does he do with all his time? He dedicates it all to A24. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is from a very prolific director, Mr. Gus Van Sant, who directed films like Good Will Hunting and My Own Private Idaho, which are two films, believe it or not, I have never seen. I know Heretic. This was actually my first exposure to Gus Van Sant's work, which is unfortunate, which we'll get into when I talk about it in the review. But A24 worked with him to put this movie out. It stars Matthew McConaughey, Ken Watanabe, and Naomi Watts. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is The Sea of Trees. The Sea of Trees is directed by Gus Van Sant. In Japan's Aokigahara forest, a troubled teacher meets a mysterious lost stranger who takes him on a life-changing journey of love and redemption. So, as I kind of alluded to in the beginning of the video, this movie sucked, unfortunately, and it had a lot of really great potential, but fell flat in virtually every way. At the beginning of the film, we're introduced to Matthew McConaughey's character. He's sitting at a parking garage waiting to get his ticket out of the machine to pay to park. And he gets the ticket, he goes and parks, and he throws the keys to the car and the ticket just in the driver's seat, walks into the airport. The lady's like, oh, you have a ticket to fly to Japan. Where's your baggage? I don't have any. He gets on the airplane. He doesn't eat anything. And when he gets to Japan, we find out that he's going to the forest that I mentioned in the description that I probably butchered the name to. But that is the forest that in Japan they call the suicide forest, where everyone goes to commit suicide. They have a high rate of people that go to kill themselves there. And he goes out into the forest, gets ready to take a bunch of prescription pills and kill himself, and he runs into Ken Watanabe's character, who seems to have gotten himself hurt or injured, and he decides to go help him out, and the two of them begin to navigate their way through this forest together while Matthew McConaughey reflects on elements in his life with his marriage to Naomi Watts and the things that drove him to fly to this forest. Like I said, what an interesting premise. It has like all of these really interesting elements that could lead up to something truly fascinating and compelling, and instead what we get is about 2 hours of pure boredom that almost comes off as comical at moments. Because the first thing I want to talk about, which isn't normally the first thing I talk about in a review, but is the score to this film. The score to this movie does not match the tone whatsoever, and it is really confusing. While I was watching this, I'm like, who in the hell chose the music for this? It is so completely opposite of the mood and the atmosphere that the film is going for. It almost has like a dream-like, airy quality to it. And when Matthew McConaughey is going through this forest and sees all these dead bodies at the beginning, like, this light, dream-like, airy music is not what is going to accompany that tone to really kind of get you into the zone as to watching a movie about a guy who wants to take his own life. And that really kind of immediately pulled me out of it. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh God, what direction is this going to go? And then we start getting flashbacks to his life with his wife, and he is a teacher at this school. I can't remember what his wife sells houses, and he ended up, whatever he's doing at this school, he had to take a pay cut where he's not making really good money. The two of them have really horrible marital issues. Naomi Watts has become an awful alcoholic, to where at one point in the film she almost burns their house down because she falls asleep. I can't remember if she was like smoking a cigarette or what it was, but she almost burns their house down. And so we're getting a lot of that. And the problem is you have two absolutely amazing actors in this, between Matthew McConaughey and Naomi Watts, who have given performances in their career that prove just how amazing of actors that they are. And they deliver the dialogue in this movie like it's a Hallmark drama in the worst way imaginable. The dialogue is more on the nose than anything I've watched recently. It's like so painful to watch them deliver these lines. There's a level of inauthenticity to what is going on that it makes it really hard for you to emotionally connect with these characters in any type of way that will have staying power, which is unfortunate because, like I said, you've got a really great cast in this movie and you have a really fantastic premise. I think Ken Watanabe is probably the best performance in this film, and the time that he is utilized, which honestly isn't a whole lot of an almost 2-hour runtime. And the cinematography in this thing is relatively flat as well, which surprised me because I know Gus Van Sant is really an acclaimed director that's known for some really amazing works. I don't know what the cinematography in those films is like, but this thing is really flat. It's very cold looking, which I can understand. Parallels that idea of the depression and the loneliness and the isolation that the lead character is trying to feel, but like, give me something that's going to keep me compelled to the screen. I just felt like it was really, like, at moments it kind of drifted into, it almost felt like a YA novel, which is incredibly unfortunate considering the fact that this is definitely a very adult themed film. And yeah, I don't have a lot more to say. I just, even at the end of the film, there's some twists and turns that are thrown in that really didn't add much to the movie to kind of make me be like, wow, this was worth sitting through almost 2 hours of a movie to get to this point. I just felt like it was relatively lackluster, and that's unfortunate considering Gus Van Sant's career and considering the amazing actors and actresses that showed up in this that gave very lackluster performances. And this would never be one I'd revisit again. I would not recommend this movie to anybody. I just felt like it was a waste of time. So have you seen The Sea of Trees? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really bad, unfortunately. I thought it had a lot of potential, but unfortunately it did not work for me. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.